Victor Osimhen. What do you think about the imbroglio in which is involved in right now?
Osimhen, I think he's a very good player. I think he's a very solid player.
Osimhen will use one hand to push them one side. Osimhen will press better, score better, hustle better, run better.
This is Sports Zone on Lagos Talks 91.3.
Don't you buy second-hand spare parts?
No.
For your cars?
No.
Haven't your mechanics told you that
No.
second-hand spare parts is better than the original?
The Lambert.
I know that's a lie. That's a lie. But you know that's a lie.
That's the Lambert detail. Because you said that second hand, was it in you?
Was it not exactly?
It was made second-hand.
People, they lie.
No, but the reason they say that is that at times the new ones are not original. Maybe they are
See.
from
The
a
guy
place.
says the second-hand American used,
Uh-huh.
meaning because it's American used is as good as new. Second-hand,
No.
man.
When you're talking about some product that are substandard, that's what that. Instead of them just say this one is substandard.
Exactly.
They're
That's
not
what
saying new is bad. Because I don't want to use the word they used to use. There's this word they used to use.
Which is that?
There's this country word they used to use.
Yeah,
I don't want to use
you
the
don't want
word.
to use that one,
But
yeah.
my point is, why would you say I should buy second hand? Meanwhile, that second hand was produced new.
New, yeah. No, but have you ever disregarded the advice of a mechanic, especially with
I
compressors?
didn't do it.
When
They
they
not
tell you,
born me
don't,
well.
I don't buy new. Say, I want a new compressor. Then after 2 weeks, like, please buy second hand.
I don't mistakenly do it.
Why? What a nation!
It is well. It is well.
It is.
well.
It is.
All right, so we're just kind of trying to, buy a little time with you, spend some time with you before we take you all the way to Belgium. I believe that's where he's situated as we speak. Yeah, we're talking here about the former coach of the Super Eagles of Nigeria, former captain of the Super Eagles of Nigeria, former international with Nigeria, a man who's been there, done that, won the Cup of Nations, played at the FIFA World Cup. He's done everything there is. Scored, yes, that goal against Spain. We're always going to remember that one. It's Chief Sunday Oliseh, yeah? MON, joining us live right here on Sports Zone. Good morning, Sonny. How are you?
Good morning, Charles. I'm fine.
People, they look me in amazement, say, when Sunday become chief? I say, well,
Good morning, Chief.
for my eye, you not chief.
Thank you, Jerry. I'll go buy my cap this afternoon.
How are you this morning?
My bro, I'm fine. We're heating up. Just a point of correction. I'm in Lagos, so I'm not in.
You did Lagos, now you don't tell me, Sonny. I
sneak in my brother. At the chop on the day, I'm no verse.
All right, cool. No, we'll talk later. All right, Sonny, I know you don't have too much time. Quickly, what's your take on the Club World Cup that's going on so far? Any surprises for you?
Not really surprises, but I think more of a confirmation of what we've seen the whole season. Of course, we've seen some players take away their feet from the throttle. But that notwithstanding, the performance Paris Saint-Germain showed us was again what we've become used to for the past 3 months.
And the performance of the African teams at the tournament, impressive or not?
I think it's been mixed. They've been given effort for sure, but we see that we are still lacking a bit on the psychological part of the game. That is what is holding Africa back at the moment. I think this lack of belief that we can crush the other opponents. I think it's holding us back.
The FIFA Club World Cup has faced a lot of criticism. Some say bad timing. Some say players exerted too much. Playing too many games. It hasn't attracted as many spectators as FIFA would like. It's just all majorly about undue criticism, in my opinion. What do you think?
Let's start from the last one. Talking about spectators. This is being held in the United States. Soccer is not the number one sport, so we should expect that. Secondly, as regards the question of being too much games or not, I think that is something that is a credible argument. based on the fact that the season starts up again just in 6 weeks, 7 weeks for some people again for the next season.
Yeah.
I think that is a bit credible. But I think also that it is not the whole teams in the world that are in it. It's 48 from the whole world. And it's also like, but it's very important for FIFA, this tournament. And it's also important to prepare the World Cup, which is going to be held in the United States, Mexico, and Canada. But one thing, Charles, there is nothing FIFA will do that won't face criticism.
Yeah.
It's like that.
Yeah, I feel you on that. By the way, congratulations on your appointment as one of the members of the FIFA Technical Study Group, if I'm correct, yes?
No, IFAB. That is
IFAB, yes,
Association.
IFAB, yes.
International Football Association body.
Yeah, what does it feel like working with Arsene Wenger?
Well, I worked with him already at the World Cup in Qatar for 6 weeks, non-stop, day in, day out. So I already know what his mentor was. But he didn't really have much to do with my appointment because the board itself involves also the Scottish. In fact, they are the people who created football. They're the ones who make the rules. So I'm actually excited somehow. It's the first time I'm excited because of the magnitude of what it is. And I'm kind of proud that at least they considered me for this, and also that somebody from my nation is considered, on merit, because it's a merit-based position. It's not really.
All right, Oliseh, I have to drag you into this, because a lot of people have so much respect for your opinion as far as this football thing is concerned. Nigerian players in the transfer market really haven't been, up and about. Aside from the reigning African Footballer of the Year, there's possible talk of him joining Napoli and Moses Simon moving to Paris Football Club in France, from Nantes to Paris. But I think a major issue on every mind of the average Nigerian football supporter has to be about Victor Osimhen. What do you think about the imbroglio in which is involved in right now?
To start with, the trend will continue. Don't expect to see people buying Nigerian players.
Whoa.
The trend, I'm sad to burst the bubble, but that is the truth. The trend will continue. As long as the national team does not start playing solid football, impressive football, attractive football, coherent football, people will not look towards your country. That is one thing. People are looking towards Lukman because physically we've seen what he does, what he can do, while he's away from the Super Eagles, while he's away from our football. Talking about Osimhen, I think he's a very good player. I think he's a very solid player. I think he's a huge asset to our football. But then again, like every top asset, or like every human being, we all have our shortcomings. I have mine, you have yours. You know that. But like every one of them, we have to be able to work around it. A solution has to be found to work around it. And as regards his transfer goals, I think this is a player that if he wants to continue being in the limelight, he has to go to the Premier League. That is the only place. If anything short of the Premier League will be looked upon as if, because Nigerians want to see him there. On the social media, it's all over. Everybody's Arsenal. They've linked him to Arsenal, Chelsea forever. It's like that. But for him to play that way, there are things he will need to change. For him to become that big, there are many things he will need to change.
Okay, I'm waiting for those things that he needs to change. What do you suppose? What is that?
Boy, man. Charlie boy, you will never change. You will. Well, one of the things he will need to change is the fact that we have to change where he's playing. That is one thing for sure. The Turkish league is good, but the attention on the Turkish league is very, very minimal. Nigerians, the question I will ask my compatriot is, if Osimhen was not playing the Turkish league, would you be watching the Turkish league? Not really. That is how the world looks at it. So they might read figures that he's doing good, but they are not really seeing it that he's doing good, and that plays a role. He's a bit out of the camera now. But for we Nigerians, we are seeing him because we are Nigerians. But for the outside world, he's a bit out of it. But those outside world are the one who decides the amount that goes into the transfer of a player.
If you were in his shoes, Sonny, would you, because you have a desire to play maybe in the Premier League, would you advise Osimhen to take a pay cut?
Okay, let me share some business value of football with you. I want to come to your club. I am earning 100,000 naira a month. No, let's make it 100 million because that's what Nigerians will relate to better. 100 million a month. And they tell me that, look, to come to this club, we can't afford to pay you. We are offering you a 3 years contract. We can pay you only 80. Okay?
Yeah.
So you have to take a pay cut to come here. What I will tell you is this. Okay, I will meet you halfway. I will collect 80, but instead of 3 years, I'm signing for 4 years.
Okay.
Now, it brings the whole total I'm going to earn 80 times 4. At the end of the third year, you ask me to leave, you will still have to pay off the last year. At the end of the third year, if I want to leave, we'll negotiate then. But at the moment that you are signing, everything is hot. The club is looking at the budget at you. You have to make compromise. But then you add 1 year to it, or you put a clause in the contract that says that, okay, I will take 80, but the moment I join you and my goals make you champion, you will add it up, it becomes 100.
Mm-hmm.
Because you will now make money because I'm taking you to the Champions League, thanks to my goals. You see, there are always ways to look at it. And that's why I say there are changes. You know, he's a great player. You know, I've said it before, and I said it, some of his colleagues, they do it, but he doesn't. Some of his colleagues will call me and ask me questions privately, and I will tell them, there is nothing wrong, my line is open. Call, and these are the kind of things he will apply, and it will make it easier for everybody. Or what do you think about what I just proposed now?
Why do you think? Because it's a general assumption. I don't want to say belief. It's a general assumption that Victor doesn't really reach out to people and doesn't take advice. You know, is because what you just said now kind of points in that direction. Yes.
But the thing there is that, look, let's not join the bandwagon of people who say it doesn't take advice, it doesn't do exactly. I remember Victor Collins, I remember Osimhen one interview when he called somebody Agbaya or something like that. You know, but you should ask yourself, what did that person say that made him call him Agbaya? But instead, people were looking at how can he call somebody Agbaya? What happened first? Now, we all react differently. It's not that he doesn't take advice. If the man is behaving like this, or like people think, they should ask themselves why. He might be reacting wrongly to something. You know, and furthermore, this I'm going to be a little bit blunt about. It's difficult to tell somebody who has a lot of money that he doesn't know what he's doing. Because the question he will ask you is, if you know past me, why you don't get the money past me? It is very difficult. So he needs somebody that is sentimental or close to him to tell him, say, Bob, you know, sit down there. Even if you get money, who the fuck are you? I'm your father, I'm your uncle, I'm your friend, you know, that is the one they will listen more to.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. All right, moving away from that, let's talk about the Super Eagles. We're in a precarious situation in our bid to qualify for the FIFA World Cup. It's looking very, very difficult. You're quoted to have said that Ahmed Musa should be given a lot more responsibility in the national team and should not be playing from the bench as a captain. Is that correct?
That is totally wrong. I have never made any comments as regard Ahmed Musa personally, and if I want to say something to Ahmed, I will give him a call and I will tell him, Bobs. So there is nothing true about that. The only thing I just said was this, that I am against national team captains being bench warmers.
Okay, when you say like that, it's a different context, yeah.
It's a different context. I didn't talk about the guy. Ahmed is somebody I personally like, not only as a human being, but what he represents. But this thing that we always had in Nigeria, and this started way back long ago. I don't want to give names because it looks as if you're pointing fingers at somebody. It is not done in anything that is progressive. A captain should be on the pitch. A captain is the extended arm of the coach on the pitch. He's the one who continues what the coach is doing, And normally they speak with the coach with his eyes, So you cannot have your captain sitting on the bench, So it doesn't happen. That has to stop.
What does it do for Nigeria's image if we don't again qualify for another FIFA World Cup? And another thing I need you to also correct, maybe it's a wrong impression, but the story out there is that you've said that the Super Eagles should not be coached by any foreigner. That position should go to the home-based coaches, a Nigerian coach.
And my brother, Charlie, I confirm it. I am totally against us employing a foreign coach to coach our national team.
But our foreign coaches have been very successful, Sonny. I mean, they brought us our first Cup of Nations, our first appearance at the FIFA World Cup, our first Olympic gold medal.
Very, very, very true. But all these coaches did not win anything else until the moment they stopped coaching JJ, Sunday, Kanu, Rashidi Yekini, Uche Okichukwu. When they left these players, they were not winning anything afterwards. So what does that say? That shows you that it was not really the coaches that made us win it. We had the players who were coaches. It was rare. And I give credit to Bonford because he was one that practically sometimes would just say, I prefer you to do this and that. But in the past, the players, we used to fight it amongst ourselves. We used to that's why I love players like Taribo or even JJ or Daniel, especially Daniel. Go back to Charlie and ask them, when things were not going well, it was the dressing room, coach not the talk. Now the senior players go come out of boy, if you don't pass that ball again, trouble go there here. Those were things that were going. So that was how Super Eagles were good. This myth that the foreign coach made us, or that kind of thing, that is totally out of the way. Shuaibu is a home-based coach. He qualified Nigeria twice for the World Cup. And they didn't let him go to it. But they brought in a foreign coach to carry us there and we got disaster. Come on, guys. What will happen to our people if we keep employing foreigners? Should our people now die or stop coaching or stop playing?
No, but should we not employ a home-based coach who qualifies for the job and not based on any kind of sentiment? Because if I had to ask you now who you think can comfortably step in as coach of the Super Eagles, what would be your recommendation?
I won't give names, Charlie. I won't give names, Charles. But one thing I will tell you is this: is that Nigerian coaches are not succeeding in the Super Eagles not because they are not good. They are not succeeding because they sabotage them, they don't let them succeed. That is the simple thing. It's not because they are not good.
Is the sabotage coming from the players in the national team or from the federation?
I'm not going to give names because the aim of this show is not of your show. I believe is not to create chaos, but to find solutions. And I think if you support your coach, how do you pay Keshi, Sunday Oliseh, players who won everything winnable for you, $12,800, and you employed somebody from Mali with all due respect, and it's earning 4 times what these legends earned? Or you go to what will be the next one? You're going to employ somebody from Timbuktu to come and coach us? And then, in as much as you might not like Amunike for whatever reasons, I'm not going into it. But look at the horrible way Ima was dramatically, torn apart because he wanted to coach national team, because he was desperate to coach it. So you see, it's easy to say, okay, this, that. The reality is that if you want this country to continue to succeed, believe in your own. believe in your kind.
Sonny, we gave that responsibility to your former teammate, Finidi George. Finidi George lost to Benin Republic. It's never happened before.
True.
And that's the reason. That's one of the reasons why qualifying for the World Cup today looks like a Herculean task for the Super Eagles.
Charles, I don't agree with all due respect, and I like you. When Finidi took over, we had already drawn 2 games. And it was a white man that was in charge. It was a foreigner that was in charge. It was Pesero. Or Pareso, I don't know.
Pesero.
Pesero, wow, it could be. Pesero. He was the one that was in charge. So Finidi took over. And Guavon came and was trying to repair it, also that kind of thing. So the reality is that it's not as if Finidi started it and then we were doing badly. Finidi already was 4 points behind when he took over the job. And I'm not saying give the job to every ex-Super Eagles player who has done well for Nigeria. No. I'm saying give it to the one that is capable of doing it. So that is how I say.
All right, Sonny. We're going to let you go because of time. We do have to take a quick break. Thank you for talking to us. Always appreciate your candid nature. And since you're in Lagos, I beg, if you can, come to the studio live. Make people hear your voice. Because some people might say this is AI.
I know the speak broken, my brother. They are still working on it. I know the speak broken.
Oh, man. Well, thanks, Sonny. Thank you so much. Thank you.
My pleasure. God bless.
Do have a good day. All right. Any comments?
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. He always does. I like what he said about. I think it's one thing when we speak about footballers, but when you hear from a footballer's point of view, a former footballer's point of view, the mindset that these footballers go through. He also spoke about it from the point of a Nigerian, where he mentioned, look, you can't tell someone who has money what to do. Because already the person feels, look, I have money, I made the money doing legitimate stuff. So I get the point he's making about Victor Osimhen, but, he also puts out a very good thing when he mentioned that Osimhen needs to go to the Premier League or one of those top leagues and not just go to one team that is somewhere. So no, go to a team that will obviously show what you can do. Now, Lookman was in the wilderness for a long time. Like you said, RB Leipzig, Fulham, Everton, I think, just didn't cut it for him. Went to Atalanta, was also on the ground. But it took him 1 year to show everyone what he can do. And he waited for the biggest moment, the final. When you do that in the final, especially as a Nigerian, it automatically elevates you to a level no one else can get to. And think about it, this year, we spoke about the same thing that everyone has mentioned, Salah, this one, that one. But Hakimi got into a final and scored. PSG plays so well because Hakimi is a part of that system. So you have to do it at that level. And I agree with him. Osimhen has to go. Even if it's Manchester United, I'll be happy to see him go to a Premier League team because we know he has the ability. We know that even if he goes to a bad team, he will score. If he goes to a Chelsea, as terrible as I've seen the 2 strikers and everybody hailing Liam Delap. Delap just had 1 assist and everybody shouted. I'm like, please, Osimhen will press.
Excuse you, Delap came on with how many minutes left in the game? Was bamboozling the defenders. Gave an assist on his debut. On his debut.
So his other striker to give assist
on his debut.
Jackson gave assist.
A 21-year-old player.
It's not by age. Jackson is like 22 or 23. It's not by age.
Jackson is from Senegal.
That's not what are you saying. It's what is on his passport. I'm responding to what's on his passport. I'm saying that, look, those two of them put together, Osimhen will use one hand to push them one side. Osimhen will press better, score better, hustle better, run better. So look, I don't say, and I agree with him. If you can find, we said it before, if you can find a pay cut, remember you're going down to come back up. Osimhen has the quality in 2-3 years. If Osimhen is in the Premier League, he go score reach 100 goals. If he stay reach 3 seasons, go score reach 100 goals.
Okay. We'll take a few messages. See, maybe after the break we can just squeeze in some of the top stories making the rounds as far as the news hound is concerned. Fortune from Ebutameta says Big Chizzy. Yeah, and like that's my new name. Chizzy, man. I disagree with what you said yesterday, using Crystal Palace coach changing his style as an analogy. Please, Palace is a small team. Did Pep Guardiola, Mikel Arteta, Jurgen Klopp, Luis Enrique, Ansu Flick, and so on change their style of play? Because of time, I don't want to argue with you now because I could punch deep holes in everything that you've said just now. Good morning. I beg Charlie, no film. Person way talk say Godfather is not a good movie. I beg stick to sports. Good morning, Sir Charles and everyone. If you want to watch an action-packed movie, just check Mercy for None. It's a Korean movie, very, very bloody. Isaiah from Orile. Problem I have with those kind of movies, I don't like lip syncing or what when they interpret. It kind of distracts me. I don't know about you guys, but it's difficult for me to be honest.
Their lips. Don't say the words.
I went the last 2 months watching The Rookie. Yes, so Rookie is back. Season 6 is back. Yeah. Absolutely. I'm just saving that for a good time. When I have maybe 6 hours of just binge watch. But it's really good. He says, I'm currently seeing Dexter. My mind is messed up, but I'm loving it. Straw and nonsense, I beg. Chidozie. One guy said, I don't sabi movies. Straw nothing. Good morning, gentlemen of the zone. Make una watch Osoronga. Have you ever heard of that?
No, I haven't. I'm going to check it out.
Osoronga.
When we go for the break, I'll check it out.
Okay.
And Sunday Oliseh, my worry with his statement about our coaches in terms of a foreigner is that if we ourselves want to improve, the hope is that we will also coach other countries. So how do you make those ideologies if you don't want to accept or you think it's not right to accept? You think it's also okay for our coaches to coach other countries?
Apart from that, Tony, I see nothing wrong in hiring foreign coaches. Look at Brazil. Brazil had an Italian, to coach their national team, and this is not the first time they're hiring a foreigner. But but if you're going to hire a coach for the national team, it has to be somebody with pedigree. Mm-hmm. Based on the fact that you are a footballing nation. And for you to hire somebody with pedigree, you've got to be able to pay the monies. Mm-hmm. Nigeria cannot pay money. We can't pay more than $50,000. We cannot. So if you're going to pay $50,000, what you're going to get are those who want to use Nigeria as a pedestal.
Exactly. So we're in a tricky position. So
that's over 50 million naira.
But it's just to pray that we have coaches that develop themselves and do well and improve the football. So which goes back to us improving our football here. And
then the Nigerian manager, in my opinion, needs to also go out there and understand that football is changing around the world. Yeah. You can't be a winner in the NPFL back to back, and because of that, we give you the national team. No, I don't agree with that.
Yeah, agreed.
Anyway,
all right. Thank you very much, Tony.
We should qualify. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you for calling.
I agree with you on that. Why just give some? Look, for me, more of our Nigerian coaches should go out. That's even for me.
Why do we have so much respect for Keshi?
Yeah,
because Keshi went out there, and got the job done with Togo, with Mali, and then came back to Nigeria.
I think his achievement with Togo automatically already lifted him to a new place because he qualified Togo for their first and only World Cup. That was a big deal. We need more managers to do stuff like that.
Listening to Mr. Sunday Oliseh makes me appreciate him even more. He speaks both as a player and as a manager, even as an agent. The only person that speaks objectively about Osimhen, in my opinion. His critical thinking on the issue of foreign managers handling the national team is hard to disagree with. Biodu Yusuf.
Again, Biodu, because if he speaks about Mikel, you will not hear the same side.
There's a story going on around Mikel that, he's not there. There's a story around Mikel, the 2016 Olympics, whatever it was, about him paying for the flight
of the team,
$250,000, from Nigeria to Brazil.
Brazil, yeah.
Somebody has denied that story. Says Mikel did not pay those monies.
The NFFC have denied the story now.
And then I reached out as well to Samson Siasia because if anybody should know, Samson should know. And Samson says that Mikel did not pay any monies for the team's flight to Rio.
Sensationalism sells.
But why would he go on an international podcast and say things like that?
It makes him popular. Have you not realized that all of a sudden now he's currently on, what's the name, one of the channels for the Club World Cup? Yes. He's on the channel for the Dazin or whatever how they pronounce it, for the Club World Cup. He's got his podcast. He's doing everything. All of a sudden,
but why would you lie against your country?
Mikel has spoken about Osimhen, how Chelsea has abused everybody. I say, you know what, Osimhen is. I think he likes the popularity. He likes the popularity because I've seen someone. I'm like, I've heard foreigners talk about English Premier League players. How many people have you seen abused Phil Foden this season? Foden had a dreadful season. And no one has said anything about Foden's dreadful season. Everybody just kept quiet. But the first opportunity you get to bash Jackson, you took him up and you started hitting him. And I'm like, drop him a little.
Well, he's not lying about Jackson now.
But you don't have to say the truth every time.
But why?
Because sometimes the truth must not be said.
Which Nigerian coach has done anything wow that you know of?
Keshi.
No, apart from Keshi. Keshi we know is... What did Sessa do?
We got 2 medals from the Olympics.
No, I'm talking about outside of coaching the Super Eagles. What has any Nigerian coach done on the world football stage?
Qualified Tanzania for their first half.
Amunike is always a player, a former coach and player that most Nigerians want to coach the national team. Personally, I do want him because he's been there. Yeah?
Actually, there are not a lot of...
There's nobody.
Well, but there's a Menalo. We just cannot put him in the equation, but there's a Menalo.
Is a Menalo a coach?
Well, he can. He's got his coaching badge, yes.
But he's not coaching.
He's not coaching, but he's more of a director.
Yeah, he's not coaching now.
But at Chelsea, there was a period when they even mentioned that he could be a coach if Chelsea were going to suck.
Good morning, Sports Zone. Good interview with Sunday Oliseh. I think he gives Osimhen the best advice. Osimhen should go to the EPL, accept a pay cut, and agree 4 years contract. He's banging the goals. Chelsea would be a perfect club for him. Sunday Oliseh has more to say. He just decided to make it short concerning players and Football Federation. So happy the NBA Finals is going to the wire. So what do you think?
I think the OKC will win eventually because home advantage, court advantage, and all the whatnot. But I love what the Pacers have done. They've taken them down the wire from game 1. So what the Pacers did was they were always coming back late into the game. Then the OKC turned it around. They started doing that while the Pacers were leading. But somehow yesterday's game or early this morning's game was absolutely great because I love when the underdogs push the guys who are the main figure. And I'm thinking that game 7 will change everything. But I'm still going to stick my tongue to it. OKC Thunder.
All right. That's about all we have for you today. I don't